2017, that was my 64 months for the Social Security.
If I could have your attention real quick, I'll introduce our speaker. Our speaker today is Nancy Collins, who's the Executive Director of the Bella Vista Animal Shelter. Nancy's background is teaching and marketing with over 30 years of experience in those fields. She has a master's degree in media from the Rochester Institute of Technology, which suggests to me that she must be from out east somewhere. Nancy arrived in BV in 2016. Her love of animals led her to be selected for the BV Animal Shelter Board of Directors. Her duties on the board involve policy, fundraising, and working with the volunteers. When the director position became open in 2021, she stepped in as interim director. She has since been named the permanent director of the BV Animal Shelter. A little known fact about Nancy is worm composting is her passion. Let's give Nancy a welcome.
Well, I want to thank you all for having us come here. It is so nice to be able to speak to a group of people all in one spot rather than one-on-one. That's Frankie. We're going to do an introduction to him a little bit later. And Frankie is our shelter ambassador. It came to my realization early on in my career that I never knew what kind of animals I was going to have at the shelter at any given time. And people loved for me to come and give talks. And so I wanted to have a dog that was available to me where I could bring them to either a school function or maybe an assisted living home and have a dog that wasn't going to claw up people. And so Jackie, who is one of our board members, who I'll also introduce in just a little bit, she was kind enough to, she has 3 rescue dogs at home, all from the Bella Vista Animal Shelter, and we decided that Frankie Blue Eyes, who's got such beautiful blue eyes, was going to be a great asset for us. So we sent him to dog obedience school, got him trained up, and he's going to show you his tricks at the end of my presentation. So please feel free to reach out to Frankie. He's a very, very friendly dog. We're still working on his manners, but he's a love, and he means you no harm regardless of how much he tries to jump in your lap. So first and foremost, I want to explain a little bit about the Bella Vista Animal Shelter. For those of you who have been around this town a little bit longer than I have, the shelter was started in 1985. So we had, sorry, my forward isn't working. Let's try this. Technical difficulties, that's what I like. Early in the morning. All right, so our very first shelter advocate was Phil, and I'm going to pronounce his last name terribly, Singambuco, I think is how it is. And he was a deputy sheriff here with the Bella Vista PD, or with the Sheriff's Department. And if you guys know where the police department is, right there on Lancashire Road, there is a little tiny fenced area that goes around their propane tank. That was our very first Bella Vista Animal Shelter. Phil found a mama dog who had 7 puppies, and he did not want to bring them to the pound over in Centerton. He thought that they wouldn't have a good living condition while these puppies were nursing. And so he kept them there with him at the Bella Vista Police Department offices. And when those puppies grew up and all got adopted out, then he found another mama, and eventually he had all these babies and all these dogs that he had no place to put. So he put a plea out in the newspaper, and a loving, caring woman from Missouri gave him $1,000, and he bought himself a garden shed, which is what you're seeing up here in the upper right-hand corner. And so that was our very first physical animal shelter. Cooper was nice enough to donate some land to us, right next to the landfill, next to Republic Waste, where Republic Waste is located now. And we were able to put the shelter up. So in this little building, we housed our first animals, and then around 2000, we outgrew it very quickly, and we decided that we were going to build some more buildings. So first we started in 2002, we built our first permanent structure, and that one had 7 kennels in it. And then from there, we did a grand opening of this structure, and this is still on the property today and still in use. So in 2006, we got this first one. This one also had 7 runs in it. And then we built Nibbles House as the next addition, and that one was a big funding project that happened in 2007. And then in 2012, we were able to build the front office and an annex building. So currently, we can house 24 dogs, each in individual runs. When we have mamas and their puppies, obviously, we get 10 and 12 all in one space. But for the most part, every dog has the availability to go inside or outside. And the way that works is each 2 sets of kennels shares 1 dog run. And so during the day, 1 dog gets free rein in and out. And then in the nighttime, the other dog gets free rein in and out. That way everybody's exercised, everybody gets some outdoor attention. One of the things I always like to tell about the Bella Vista Animal Shelter is that we don't get holidays at all, right? Every day the dogs need to be fed, every day the dogs need to be walked, every day their kennels need to be cleaned, and we are meticulous about that. Everybody gets a full bleach down of their area, they get deodorization so that it doesn't smell bad. They all get clean food and clean water every single day. Our cats never have to have the same litter for more than 1 day. We use non-clumpy litter specifically so that we can wash out every single cat pan every day. And it's really helped us keep disease down in the shelter, because as you might guess, if 1 dog is sick and they're in the general population, then easily the whole kennel will be sick in no time. So we've been really good about that. It keeps our vet bills way down. But on the downside is we have a hard time having volunteers help us in the kennels, because whether there's 6 inches of snow on the ground, or it's pouring rain, or it's Christmas Day or New Year's Day, they still have to be there and they still have to do the work. So even if we aren't open to the public, you will always find that we are there. So a little bit more about the business side of it, which is the part that I take care of. As executive director, it's my job to make sure that we have enough funds to keep the shelter running. And so my big push is always to try and look for new ways to fund the shelter and keep it operational. So in 2021, when I started, we had an operating budget just a little bit over $300,000. I have 7 full-time staff members for the reasons that I just gave, that I need them to show up every single day. And somehow if they get a paycheck, they feel more obligated to do that, which is very nice. One of the big things that we do is we search for lost owners to animals. So we have a contract with the city of Bella Vista that we are responsible for taking in any lost or homeless dogs that animal control will find. So that means if they go to a home and someone has had a medical emergency and they have animals at home, we need to house those animals until they're out of the hospital. If they've had maybe a traffic stop and someone gets arrested, then if they have animals in that car, then we're responsible for holding those. Plus all the various escapees that you might see tooling around the golf course or on the highway, those all come to us as well. So this year, in 2022, it's not over yet, we've returned over 200 lost animals to their families. And the way we do that, pardon me, the way we do that is hopefully the dog or the cat is microchipped and we can look up their information and get them home really quick. The other way that we do that is we post on social media to say that we found this animal. And we have a huge network of fantastic fans that are like, oh, that's Smith's dog. I saw him the other day at the dog park. And then we're able to reach out to them and go find and let them know that their dog is there. We have had on more than probably 10 occasions in the last 2 months where we tell the person that their dog has been found by us. And they said, is my dog out? How'd they get out? I didn't even know they were missing. So oftentimes we're the first to know before they even know themselves that the dog is outside. We also have had some success with cats. Cats are a little bit harder to get home, especially when they're all black, which we have a fair number of. So we always ask that the cats become microchipped so that we can find them. One of the other things that microchipping does, and this might be something that you don't think about necessarily, is if an animal is found deceased, it helps us let the parents know that their animal has passed in some way, whether it was through, you know, an animal attack or whether they got hit by a car. It brings a sense of closure to the family and it helps them out so much. We offer microchipping at the animal shelter, so if you have a pet at home that you're worried about might escape someday, it just costs $20 and we'll take care of all the registering it and all that information. One of the other things I guess I'll put in at the same time is that if the end of year is the time when we start looking at our paperwork, right, and making sure that our taxes are in order, if you should have an animal at home, what we at the animal shelter always ask is that you put some sort of a pet directive in there for your animal once you're passed, how you'd like them to be taken care of, if you have a person in mind to take care of them, because we get so many people that have to move into assisted living or whatnot, and their family will just bring their animals to us. And we aren't necessarily the best place for a 14-year-old dog or cat to come and stay at. We would love if you had some sort of a directive to say what would happen to your pet in the event of the worst happening. So, searching for a microchip, it isn't as easy as just typing in the number and all of their information populates. First, we have to find out who sold the microchip, where it was sold to. We have to look up those records and see what person matches that microchip. If that animal has switched hands to another family, then we have to chase that down. So we spend a lot of time doing some investigative work on our side with that I never knew about before I became the director. We work really closely with animal control and the police department on all sorts of things, and that part's very interesting to me as well. If we have somebody who is incarcerated for any period of time and their animal has come to us, we cannot adopt that animal out. We just have to hold and care for it until their incarceration period is over, unless we get a written release. So that takes up potentially valuable space that strays could be having, but it's one of those things that I also didn't know about before I started at the shelter. And they have to be kept in isolation. We have to keep them healthy and happy, and all of that expense falls on us at no expense to the person whose animal was taken. So we also do a lot of community service. One of the things that we do, especially this year, has been hard for families that have a lot of pets at home. We offer donation food if we have it available. So we would much rather that the animals stay with their family than come to the shelter. And whatever we can do to help that situation stay that way, we're working towards that. So we give out cat food and dog food to families in need when we have it available. We also offer a number of fundraising events. If you guys haven't heard from me in the past, I do a fundraiser nearly every month for the entire year. So from April to October, we always have something going on. We've had the Wiener Dog races, we have a Pars for Paws golf tournament, we have a giant garage sale that Anita Wirtz, one of our board members, does every year, which is wonderful. Last year it was a huge event because I guess during COVID everybody was cleaning up, and we had more stuff than we even knew what to do with. It was a pretty fantastic garage sale, and that one happens right off of Trafalgar Road. We also have some smaller events. At Allen's Supermarket, we hold a little brat fest where we serve hot dogs and get everybody out there to meet and greet with their animals. We also have a chip and dip event where people can bring their dogs to the animal shelter to get microchipped. We're doing a number of things. We also go to a number of the markets, so if you ever end up at Bella Vista's Farmers Market or at First Friday down in Bentonville, you'll see us down there. As you can imagine, we're doing a lot of running around and making sure that the shelter name is out there. Because of our diligence in trying to market our shelter, we were also featured on Fixer to Fabulous. Has anybody ever heard of this makeover show before? A couple of you?
Your wife have.
A couple of you, fantastic. So last Christmas, they featured us as their holiday makeover special. The Mars team was great for us, and what they did is they came in, they decided that we were a deserving nonprofit, and they made over our entire front office. It's beautiful, it's all slatted wood, the paint is wonderful, new countertops, cabinets. The dogs are enjoying it a lot too because wood is one of those things that they really like to destroy. So if you want to come and see our renovations, I'll ask you to come sooner rather than later because they may not last through another year, we're hoping. But it was a wonderful event. We closed down the shelter for about 3 months during COVID. They came and did these renovations for us, televised the whole thing, and now we have followers in Australia and the Philippines, and I mean, it's more than we could have asked for, and we felt so deserving that we were the animal shelter that they chose. We also rehome pets, of course, so if we have an animal that comes in, we hold that animal for 7 to 10 days looking for its owners. The reason we have a little bit of a variance on how many days is because, especially now during the holiday season, if someone's on vacation and they don't know that their animal's been away while the pet sitter was watching it, then we want to make sure we hold for 10 days so that they can get back from vacation, realize their animal is missing, and then contact us. One of the other things that comes up a lot in conversation is jurisdiction. We only service the city of Bella Vista. And so people out in the county or at the Bentonville border, they ask us why we won't take their animals. And the reason we're so particular about that is because wherever that animal is lost, that's where its people are going to be looking for it. So we've had dogs come to us from Texas, from way up in Neosho, and you're like, don't bring them to us. Like, you need to bring them to someplace that's close by so that their people, when they start looking for them, know where to look for them. And that causes a lot of frustration. Again, this year has been tough on families with pets. A lot of them have been downsizing and moving into apartments where there's a limit on how many animals you can take. And so we've had a number of people trying to rehome their pets. If you are looking for a pet and your local animal shelter doesn't have, the type or the breed that you're searching for, we ask that you look at one of the NWA rehoming sites, either on Facebook or any other avenue. Pet Finder is also a good one to help try and rehome these pets that people are having to right size and remove from their life. Social media was my big learning curve. I thought I had a good handle on what it was to do social media, but when you're doing it for a public company like this, it requires a whole set of skills that I didn't necessarily have in my marketing background. But we try to keep a good balance going of these are the animals that are lost on our Facebook page, and then these are the things that we're doing for the community. And we have a great group of followers. About 15,000 people follow our Facebook page, which we really appreciate. And again, that helps get the word out about lost animals. It helps us with our adoption rates. Plus, it helps us promote our advocates and our partners in the community by saying, hey, so-and-so, the men's club invited me over to speak, and these were the things that we found out about it. And so it's a nice community interaction that I think is beneficial for all of us. And then the last thing that I have to keep track of all the time is all the new rules for nonprofits, making sure that we're compliant with all of our taxes, making sure that we're following audit procedures and inventory procedures, because as a nonprofit that's not owned by anybody except for everyone in the community, it is beneficial. It's required that all of my books are open for anybody to take a look at, and I want to make sure that it all makes sense and that we're crossing every T and dotting every I. That was a lot of information. I'm sorry. So these are the events that we had last year, just to give you an idea. So I talked about a bunch of them. Cinco de Mayo is one that we're just starting to ramp up. Last year, unfortunately, it got canceled due to thunder, so May showers wiped me out for that one. But I'm trying to really start an event that celebrates cats, because all of our events are dog related. And the main reason for that is you just can't take cats out in public and socialize with them like you can a dog. So the dogs make for easy events. The cats are a little bit tougher, but I will get a cat event on our calendar eventually. So these are some of the things that we do. Wiener Takes All is probably our biggest event, where we usually have about 800 people show up out to the softball course out at Loch Lomond at the dam there. And we have wiener dogs and corgi dogs that are running races, relay races, and it is just about the most hilarious thing you've ever seen. We have people coming from as far as Wisconsin and Texas up to run their dogs here, and it's one of those things that through word of mouth and sort of natural progression has become our big ticket event. And we can't thank Ron Krolikowski enough. He was the president of the board for a little while, and he brought the wiener dog races to us, and I mean, it's one of those things that we just try to capitalize on and make sure that the whole event comes together and has a great time. Next year, we've got some big plans. We're actually going to have some shade and some tents. We're going to make the track a little bit longer so more people can see what's going on. Because when you have very, very small dogs on a very, very small course, it makes for a tight squeeze in there. The events that are going on right now are Giving Tuesday, which we had on November 29th. That's a day where we celebrate basically giving out to the community. So one of the things that we promoted this year for Giving Tuesday was that we're starting what we call a TNR program, and that's a trap, neuter, and return. Mike was nice enough to give me a beautiful picture book filled with songbirds. There has been some national recognition that songbird population is depleting at an alarming rate, and they think it has to do with cats that have been released into the wild. And so what we're trying to do for Bella Vista is deplete this outdoor community cat population. And the way we're doing that is we're looking for people who are feeding outdoor cats, asking them to give us a call and put us on a list. We will come out and trap those cats and make sure that they are all spayed or neutered so that they can't reproduce. We should really only have to push this for about 2 to 3 years before the population decreases enough that we're seeing a huge decrease in our kittens, 178 this year to the Bella Vista Animal Shelter. So we want to decrease our kittens that are outside and get that adult cat population manageable and so that they aren't reproducing. So we've started a TNR program. We have a partner that's helping us with spays and neuters, and they're letting us take 13 to 15 cats at a time. So really, this is going to be a huge boon for Bella Vista, and we can't be prouder to start this program this year. And then Santa Paws is my other event that I have going on right now. This one's pretty easy. If you don't like doing Christmas cards, you send me a small donation and I will write your Christmas cards for you. I say, so-and-so has donated to the animal shelter on your behalf. We're wishing you a Merry Christmas. This is how it helps the animals. And that seems to be a very popular event, and we love doing it. Jackie's one of my Christmas card writers, and so it's nice to get a personal note every now and again and know that you are helping the animals at the same time. All right, so a little bit about our donation history and what kind of monies we make from fundraisers. Sometimes people are very interested in this, sometimes not. But we have money jars all around town, and we usually raise about $8,000 annually from the money jars. Harps has 3 of them, Allen's has a couple, we have some at Highland Pets. A number of businesses around town have a little change jar right there next to the cash register, and so people's loose change bring us about $8,000 a year. This year, the garage sale, like I said, was a blowout because so many people had things to give us, and we made over $20,000 at a garage sale. Can you imagine? We strategically place our garage sale right after the Bella Vista Community Garage Sale so that we can get all the leftovers from that first go-around and hit them on the second time around. Pars for Paws is our annual golf tournament, and we usually have about 40 teams that go through in one day. Nearly everybody gets a prize for coming to our golf tournament, and we really have a good turnout and some loyal followers for the golf tournament, and that's a lot of fun and another good community building activity. We do a membership drive every year. Usually we put an insert in the water bill. That seems to work out pretty well for us, and we raise about $11,000 on that one. Guardian Angels is a program that was started, years ago, and it was to support the long-term care of our animals. If you don't know, your Bella Vista Animal Shelter is a no-kill shelter, and what that means is that we would never euthanize an animal to make space for another animal. So the only time that euthanizations would happen is if they have some sort of a medical condition or some sort of aggression. And so because we're a no-kill shelter, we have a number of animals that have been with us for some time. We have one resident, a dog resident, that has been with us for over 6 years, and we have at least 3 cat residents that have been with us for 13 years. So this Guardian Angel program, what I do is I send you a picture of your angel, and I tell you a little bit about the status, how they came to the shelter, what we know about them, how their year has been going, and how their care has been, and people donate about $10 a month to help support that animal. And that one's worked out really great for us. Betty White last year, there was a big organic effort to support animal shelters in the name of Betty White. And so we've now put the Guardian Angel program in honor of her, and people have been wonderful, and we have a number of monthly contributors that are now on the Guardian Angel program. Giving Tuesday, as I mentioned, was a day of community outreach, and we raised about $8,000 for that. And that all goes to support that TNR program that I was talking about helping the community cats, making sure we have a reserve to get cats fixed. Santa Paws is the Christmas card one that we spoke about, and then of course legacy gifts from people who have passed and have left us, have named us in their estate. So we talked a little bit about Fixer to Fabulous. It was a pretty great exposure for us. Unfortunately, it was right at the time that we were transitioning between executive directors, so I'm not sure we capitalized on it like we should have, but not everything's about money, right? So we're trying to keep on promoting that, and basically what I've done here in the presentation is I've provided the URL and the password if you want to see the episode, and I can email it to you all if anybody's interested in watching. It's one of those things where if you missed it, you just can't find it again. And that's the end of my presentation. And so now I want to introduce Jackie, who is a board member for us. She started on the board last year, and she has been a huge help to me. She is running for secretary this year. January is our, what am I going to say? Our big annual meeting where everybody gets to vote on board members, and we are actively looking for applications for people to join our board. And I will say that there are big changes afoot, so if you'd like to be part of directing how the animal shelter grows, please email me, stop by and see me, and fill out an application. We would love to have you on the board come 2023. So Jackie Allen is on our board. She is running for secretary, and Frankie is her companion here. It's also her dog, her personal dog, so Frankie is not up for adoption. Frankie has had obedience training and some tricks. And so she's going to show you Frankie's little tricks.
Spin around. Spin around. Spin around.
Hey.
Shake. Good job, buddy.
So Nancy, how many dogs do you have right now at the shelter?
Currently at the shelter, I have 38 dogs, and I have 49 cats. I will say a fair portion of the cat population is going to be with us forever. I think at this moment in time, I actually only have about 8 adoptable cats. I have 5 kittens going in next week to get fixed. None of our animals can be adopted before they are spayed or neutered. We will not let them off the property without that. No matter how many times you get a handshake agreement of course I'll take them to the vet and get them fixed. One of the policies at the Bella Vista Animal Shelter is that if for some reason you can no longer have your dog in the future, you can always bring it back to the shelter if you adopted it from us. And so we have had at least 2 that have come back not fixed, and we're like, how did this happen? We adopted this animal out, it had to have been fixed. So we know that people aren't necessarily following through on their obligations to get their animals spayed or neutered. So now it is our strict policy that they will not leave the premises before they are. Yes, sir.
Does the city support the animal shelter, and to what degree?
So yes, the contract that we have with the city of Bella Vista and the police department is that they have an ACO officer, and that ACO officer is a fantastic partner to us, and she will collect the dogs or whatever and works closely with us. And then we charge a one-time fee for every dog or cat that is brought in. And so at the end of the month, we provide them with an invoice of this is how many animals you submitted to us. And I would say that our contract with the city of Bella Vista pays for roughly 20% of our operating costs.
Perfect.
The rest of it is all generated from me glad-handing and out here in the public raising money, because we are a privately owned shelter. We aren't affiliated with the Humane Society or any other national animal affiliate. We're just doing it on our own with Bella Vista. Yes, sir.
Does the chip that you put in a cat or dog only give you the information of the owner or a number, or how does that work?
So the microchip itself has no GPS tracking capability. You can't do Find My Dog and watch where they're running around. It literally just has a 16-digit number. We put that number into a microchip decoder. The first 3 digits will tell us what company sold that chip. We ring up that company and say, this is the chip number that we have, and they say, oh, that's registered to so-and-so, or we'll send so-and-so an email. Oftentimes, the chip is only registered to the person that they sold it to, so it'll come back Spade, Arkansas, or All Pets Hospital, or whomever, and then we have to call them up and say, who did you give this chip to? And then hopefully they have that information, and then you call that person and they say, oh, I gave that dog away, and then you keep following that nugget until you finally get to the person who's like, my dog!
So if that chip is in the dog that I buy,
Yep.
can I change that chip to my own?
Absolutely. So you can either call us, and if the dog was from the Bella Vista Animal Shelter and we can control it, then we'll go ahead and update that information, phone number, address, whatever. If the chip belongs to somebody else, then we have a little cheat sheet that says what number to call to get your information updated. Yes, gentleman in the back.
Well, I was going to ask the same question, updating information on the chip.
Anybody else want to know anything about our animal shelter? Yes, Ron?
Do you still get $100 a dog in the city, or what's the contract now?
You're gonna ask me this. We're just trying to negotiate a new rate.
You gonna do that before the new mayor?
We asked Christie for it, and he tabled us, so I've already got my word in with John Flynn to ask him. I'm also gonna ask him for a new building, but we'll see how that goes. So the rate is $60 per cat that they bring in, and animal control does not pick up stray cats, so these are only cats that were in a home that for some reason needed to be vacated, or in a car when there was a traffic stop. And then I think the dog rate is now up to $125. But we haven't raised our adoption rates for probably 5 years, and I don't think we've raised our city rates for as long. So I'm making a push. Inflation, everyone.
The next question is, do you still get all your food from Walmart free?
So we do not get all of our food from Walmart. Walmart will give us, they'll give us a call once a month for open bags or ripped bags that they have at the Pineville Supercenter. The rest of our dog food really comes from all of our great citizens here in Bella Vista. Right now we're making a big push for puppy food. We have a mama with 9 puppies, and they are gonna, when they are weaned in the next 2 weeks, they are gonna start eating a lot of puppy food. And so we're asking for dry puppy food. Please, please, please bring it if you can. But yes, our citizens of Bella Vista have been outstanding, and I would say we are well set with dog food and cat food, just from donations that we put out there. We also have wish lists on Amazon and Sam's Club and at Walmart, and so those are all, if you look up our wish list, you'll see exactly what we need, and it's bleach, it's deodorizer, and it's dog and cat food. Those are our number ones.
Nancy, do you accept, if a pet owner loses their dog, do you accept collars and walkers and that type?
We will take any gently used items, that's no problem. What we ask though is that if you have a cat tree that's been for the last 4 cats, if you can clean it in some fashion before you bring it to us, that would be great. But we definitely are fine with gently used collars, leashes, all of that stuff. One of the things that Jackie and I do, especially when we go to the flea markets and farmers markets, is we'll actually sell those items to families who might need them if we don't need them at the shelter. So the shelter goes through everything first, decides what they want to use, and then everything else goes into my she shed so that I can do little impromptu pop-up sales wherever I go. And we also take open bags of dog food, so if your dog is finicky or your cat is finicky and they say, I'm not going to eat this anymore, we will happily have that. If we aren't going to use it for our own pets, then it goes into the donation pile, and the families of Bella Vista greatly appreciate all of the generosity from this community.
I want to thank Nancy for Jackie for being with us today. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you guys so much, and breakfast was wonderful. My compliments to the chef. Thank you all.